Welcome to Level 9 of Verbal Advantage. I'll dispense with my usual wordy, tiresome, long-winded, boring, and verbose introduction because this level begins with Word 1, Prolix. Prolix. Wordy and tiresome, long-winded and boring. Verbose. Using far too many and a great deal more words than are necessary and essential to get the point, such as the point may be, across, despite the fact that, all right already. Now that was a prolix definition if you ever heard one. Not to mention redundant. Challenging synonyms of prolix include circumlocutory, tautological, and pleonastic. Antonyms of prolix include concise, terse, pithy, succinct, and sententious. Prolix comes from the Latin prolixus, widely extended. Prolix applies to long-winded speech or writing that is tediously discursive, desultory, or protracted. If someone in a meeting talks on in a monotonous, boring way, that person is being prolix. Word 2. Apocryphal. Apocryphal. Not genuine, counterfeit, illegitimate. Specifically of doubtful authenticity or authorship. Spurious, word 18 of Level 8, is a close synonym of apocryphal. Other synonyms include unauthorized, unauthenticated, fabricated, fraudulent, and supposititious. Antonyms include genuine, authentic, valid, and bona fide. The Apocrypha, spelled with a capital A, are 14 books of an early translation of the Old Testament into Greek called the Septuagint. The authenticity of these books was called into question, and they were subsequently rejected by Judaism and considered uncanonical or not authoritative by Protestants. However, 11 of the 14 Apocrypha are accepted by the Roman Catholic Church. Today, Apocrypha, spelled with a small a, refers to any writings of doubtful authenticity or authorship, and the adjective apocryphal means not genuine, counterfeit, spurious, as an apocryphal document, an apocryphal statement, or an apocryphal story. Word 3. Cupidity. Cupidity. Greed. A strong desire for wealth or material things. Synonyms of cupidity include avarice, acquisitiveness, covetousness, and venality. Cupidity comes from the Latin cupidus, which meant desirous, longing, eager, and also eager for power or money, avaricious. The corresponding Latin noun cupido, which means desire, is the source of Cupid, the cherubic god of love in Roman mythology, usually represented as a baby or chubby young boy with wings and a bow and arrow. Although Cupid and the English noun cupidity are related etymologically, in modern usage cupidity does not denote love or desire, but rather an excessive love of money, a strong desire for wealth or material things. Word 4. Venal. Vernal. Pertaining to spring, occurring in the spring. Also, having the qualities of spring, fresh, warm, and mild. Vernal has two challenging antonyms. Hibernal, spelled Hibernal, and hiemal, spelled Hiemal. Hibernal and hiemal both mean pertaining to winter, wintry. The ancient Romans gave Ireland the name Hibernia because the Emerald Isle seemed so cold and wintry to them. The familiar verb to hibernate means to spend the winter, either in a dormant state, after the manner of bears, or in a place with a milder climate. Would you like some words for your next summer vacation? Estival, spelled like festival without the F, means pertaining to summer, like summer, or belonging to summer, as estival flowers, or an estival holiday. The verb to estivate, which means to pass the summer, is the opposite of hibernate, to pass the winter. And moving right along through the year, we have autumnal, which means pertaining to autumn, to the fall. Our keyword, vernal, means pertaining to spring. The vernal equinox, which occurs in March and marks the beginning of spring, and the autumnal equinox, which occurs in September and marks the beginning of fall, are the times during the year when the word 5, temerity, T-E-M-E-R-I-T-Y, recklessness, rashness, foolhardiness, reckless disregard for danger, risk, or consequences. Synonyms of temerity include nerve, cheek, gall, audacity, heedlessness, imprudence, impetuosity, presumptuousness, and effrontery. Antonyms include timidity, bashfulness, faint-heartedness, sheepishness, apprehension, diffidence, and timorousness. The corresponding adjective is temerarious, T-E-M-E-R-A-R-I-O-U-S. When George Washington led his troops across the Delaware River, at the time it must have seemed temerarious, but history has since proved it was a sagacious military maneuver. Temerity comes from the Latin temere, rashly, blindly, heedlessly, and by derivation refers to rash or foolish boldness, a reckless bravado that underestimates the danger or consequences of an action. Do you remember the end of the movie The Graduate, when Dustin Hoffman runs into the church, bangs on the glass, stops the wedding in progress, and then jumps on a bus with Catherine Ross, the intended bride? That was an act of temerity. Word 6. Rapprochement. R-A-P-P-R-O-C-H-E-M-E-N-T. Reconciliation. A re-establishing of friendly relations. She helped bring about a rapprochement between the hostile parties. In 1993, there was a historic rapprochement between Israel and the PLO, and in 1994, an equally significant rapprochement between Israel and Jordan. Rapprochement comes from a French verb meaning to bring together, and means literally to approach again. The word has been used in English since the early 19th century, but as you can hear, it retains its French pronunciation. Rapprochement. Word 7. Disquisition. D-I-S-Q-U-I-S-I-T-I-O-N. A formal discussion of or inquiry into a subject. A discourse. General synonyms of disquisition include treatise, critique, and commentary. More specific synonyms include lecture, thesis, oration, homily, tract, monograph, and dissertation. The words discourse, dissertation, and disquisition all refer to formal discussions of or inquiries into a subject. Discourse, which may refer either to writing or speech, means a formal treatise, lecture, or conversation. Dissertation may mean any lengthy discourse in writing, such as Noah Webster's Dissertations on the English Language, published in 1789. However, in current usage, the word most often refers to a formal thesis written by a candidate for a doctoral degree. Disquisition applies to any formal treatment of a subject, usually but not necessarily in writing. Word 8. Proscribe. P-R-O-S-C-R-I-B-E. To prohibit, forbid, outlaw. The City Council passed an ordinance proscribing the sale or possession of handguns. In certain societies, the practice of bigamy is not proscribed. Synonyms of proscribe include ban, denounce, disallow, condemn, censure, ostracize, expatriate, and interdict. Antonyms include permit, tolerate, legalize, authorize, and sanction. Proscribe comes from the Latin proscribere, to post or publish the name of an outlaw or a person to be banished or put to death. By derivation, that which is proscribed is outlawed, not permitted, denounced, or condemned. Be careful to distinguish the verbs to proscribe and to prescribe, which are opposite in meaning. Proscribe begins with the letters P-R-O. Prescribe begins with P-R-E. A doctor may prescribe a certain drug, advise you to take it, or proscribe saturated fats, advise you to eliminate them from your diet. A prescription is an order to do something. A proscription is an order not to do it, a prohibition. Word 9. Munificence. M-U-N-I-F-I-C-E-N-C-E. Great generosity, lavish giving. Synonyms of munificence include philanthropy, liberality, benevolence, bountifulness, bounteousness, beneficence, and largesse, which may also be pronounced largesse, and which is preferably spelled L-A-R-G-E-S-S, with no final E. Antonyms of munificence include stinginess, miserliness, close-fistedness, penuriousness, and parsimony. We will discuss the noun parsimony and the adjective parsimonious in the next set of keywords in this level. The noun munificence and the corresponding adjective munificent come through the Latin munificus, generous, liberal, bountiful, from munus, a gift, present, or favor. Munificent means characterized by great generosity, as a munificent donation. The noun munificence suggests liberal or lavish giving, and may refer to the generous giving of money, favors, or hospitality. Word 10. Probity. P-R-O-B-I-T-Y. Honesty, integrity, fairness, straightforwardness, and sincerity in one's dealings with others. Synonyms of probity include uprightness, trustworthiness, scrupulousness, veracity, and rectitude. Antonyms include improbity, the direct opposite of probity, and also dishonesty, deceitfulness, unscrupulousness, duplicity, malfeasance, and perfidy, P-E-R-F-I-D-Y. Perfidy means a breach of faith, treachery. Honesty implies truthfulness and an unwillingness to lie, deceive, or do wrong. Integrity implies trustworthiness, reliability, and moral responsibility. Probity implies unshakable honesty and integrity. The woman or man of probity has been put to the test and found to be incorruptibly honest and upright through adherence to the highest principles of conduct.
Let's review the 10 key words you've just learned. Listen carefully to the following questions. After each one, decide whether the correct answer is yes or no. Do prolix speakers keep their comments short and sweet? No. Prolix means wordy and tiresome, long-winded and boring, verbose, using more words than necessary to get the point across. Can a book, a painting, and a story all be apocryphal? Yes, Apocryphal means not genuine, counterfeit, illegitimate, specifically of doubtful authenticity or authorship. Is it an act of cupidity when someone marries for money? Yes, cupidity means greed, a strong desire for wealth or material things. Are skiing and ice skating vernal activities? No, skiing and ice skating are hibernal activities, meaning winter activities. Vernal means pertaining to spring, occurring in the spring, also having the qualities of spring, fresh, warm, and mild. If you display temerity, are you being wise and cautious? No. Temerity means recklessness, rashness, foolhardiness, reckless disregard for danger, risk, or consequences. Can two belligerent nations seek a rapprochement? Yes, rapprochement means reconciliation, a re-establishing of friendly relations. When you distribute a brief memorandum in the office, is it a disquisition? No, a disquisition is a formal discussion of or inquiry into a subject, a discourse. Are certain drugs proscribed by law? Yes, to proscribe means to prohibit, forbid, outlaw. Would living in an opulent mansion be a display of munificence? No. Donating your mansion to a non-profit organization would be a display of munificence. Munificence means great generosity, lavish giving. Can you trust a person of probity? Yes, probity means honesty, integrity, fairness, straightforwardness, and sincerity in one's dealings with others. That concludes the review for this section. Did you remember to keep track of your answers and calculate your score?
Let's take a moment to discuss an endangered distinction in the language that is worth preserving. Many educated people have trouble distinguishing between the verbs to convince and to persuade. So many people now fail to make the proper distinction in their speech and writing that these words are now often used interchangeably, and the fine difference between them is in danger of becoming lost. If you hear nothing wrong in the sentences, "I couldn't convince him to agree with me," and "she convinced him to go," then I urge you to listen closely to what I'm about to say. The Spell Handbook explains that to convince someone is to bring the person to your point of view. To persuade someone is to induce the person to do something. For example, if you are convinced that Verbal Advantage is a worthwhile program, then I don't have to persuade you to finish listening to it. In Common Errors in English, Alexander M. Witherspoon, who taught English at Berkeley and Yale, writes that persuade emphasizes the idea of winning over. Convince emphasizes the idea of proof by argument. Witherspoon offers these examples. They persuaded me to go home with them. They convinced me that their candidate was the best by showing me his record, and they persuaded me to vote for him. In The Writer's Art, James J. Kilpatrick offers 3 examples of the egregious misuse of convince for persuade. The court ruled Monday against a leukemia victim who is trying to convince a woman to donate bone marrow. She recently convinced him to take her to Monte Carlo, and if Venezuela can convince its banks to convert many of the short-term debts, yuck, writes Kilpatrick. In each instance, the proper verb was persuade. Here's a good way to remember the distinction. Persuade usually takes an infinitive, meaning it is often followed by to. You persuade someone to do something. Convince is never followed by an infinitive. You don't convince me to do something, You persuade me to do it. Convince should be followed either by of or that. You are convinced of the truth or convinced that something is important. As Kilpatrick puts it, an argument that is persuasive may not be convincing, but once we are convinced of something, persuasion has done its job. I hope that my attempt to persuade you to preserve this distinction in the language has left you convinced that making it in your own speech and writing is the right thing to do. And now, my verbally advantaged friend, I'm convinced that I won't have to persuade you to return to the vocabulary and learn the next 10 keywords in Level 9. Word 11. Puissant. Puissant. Powerful, mighty, strong, forceful. Synonyms of puissant include vigorous, potent, dynamic, and stalwart. Stalwart. Antonyms include weak, feeble, infirm, debilitated, enervated, flaccid, and valetudinarian. In the 17th century play The Alchemist, Ben Jonson writes, "I will be puissant and mighty in my talk to her." Puissant comes through Middle English from an Old French word meaning powerful. Because it is used chiefly in old poetry and scholarly disquisitions, current dictionaries sometimes label puissant poetic, literary, or archaic. That doesn't necessarily mean you should avoid using it. Puissant is a lovely word that, if used in the right place at the right time, can add flair and a dash of style to your expression. The corresponding noun is puissance, power, strength, might. These words may also be pronounced puissant and puissance, or puissant and puissance. Word 12. Peculate. Peculate. To steal, embezzle. Specifically, to steal or misuse money or property entrusted to one's care. To peculate and to defalcate both mean to embezzle, to steal from or appropriate that which has been entrusted to one's care. Defalcate, spelled D-E-F-A-L-C-A-T-E, by derivation means to cut off with a sickle. Hence, to misappropriate funds by fraudulently deducting a portion of them for one's own use. Although peculate comes from the Latin peculium, which means private property, in current usage the word usually refers to the embezzlement of public or corporate funds, or property entrusted to one's care. For 25 years, old Barney balanced the books for the city, and just when he was about to retire with a good pension, they caught him peculating from the public trough. The corresponding noun is peculation, the act of peculating. Word 13. Diffident. D-I-F-F-I-D-E-N-T. Shy, timid, bashful, lacking in self-confidence, hesitant to speak or act. Diffident comes from the Latin dis, which in this case means not, and fidere, to trust, put confidence in. Diffident was once used literally to mean distrustful, but that sense is archaic, and diffident now suggests lacking trust or confidence in oneself to speak or act. Diffident people have difficulty asserting themselves or expressing their opinions. Word 14. Venal. V-E-N-A-L. Corruptible, bribable, capable of being bribed or bought off, able to be obtained for a price. Venal and mercenary, word 14 of level 3, are close in meaning. Mercenary means done for payment only, motivated by greed or a desire for personal gain. A mercenary writer writes not for love but for the money. When Jim discovered that Alice had 3 ex-husbands who were all affluent plastic surgeons like him, He concluded that her interest in him was mercenary and called off their engagement. Venal comes from the Latin venalis, for sale, and means literally able to be sold. The word is used today to mean able to be bribed, corrupted, or bought off, or characterized by corrupt mercenary dealings. A venal judge is corrupt, capable of being bribed. A venal politician is corruptible, able to be influenced by money or favors. A venal administration, or a venal business deal, is riddled with corruption and bribery. The corresponding noun is venality, a venal state or act. The words venal and venial are often confused. Venial, spelled V-E-N-I-A-L, comes from the Latin venia, grace, indulgence, and means excusable, forgivable, minor, as a venial sin, a venial offense, or a venial error. Venal, spelled V-E-N-A-L, means corruptible, capable of being bribed or bought off. Word 15. Parsimonious. P-A-R-S-I-M-O-N-I-O-U-S. Stingy, miserly, extremely tight with money. Antonyms of parsimonious include generous, liberal, open-handed, bountiful, beneficent, magnanimous, and munificent. Synonyms of parsimonious include grasping, money-grubbing, penny-pinching, close-fisted, penurious, and niggardly. Niggard, spelled N-I-G-G-A-R-D, and niggardly are very old words of Scandinavian origin. They have nothing to do with the offensive and derogatory term used by racists to insult African Americans. A niggard is a miser. Niggardly means stingy, begrudging every nickel and dime. The noun parsimony, spelled P-A-R-S-I-M-O-N-Y, means excessive or unnecessary economy or frugality. The adjective parsimonious means very sparing in expenditure, frugal to excess. The 18th century English essayist Joseph Addison wrote, "Extraordinary funds for one campaign may spare us the expense of many years, whereas a long parsimonious war will drain us of more men and money." If you've ever known someone who wanted you to do a demanding job and grudgingly offered to... Word 16. Pusillanimous. P-U-S-I-L-L-A-N-I-M-O-U-S. Cowardly, lacking courage, timid, faint-hearted, irresolute. Pusillanimous is used of cowardly persons or actions that are especially ignoble or contemptible. A pusillanimous deserter of a cause. A pusillanimous surrender. A mean-spirited and pusillanimous leader. The corresponding noun is pusillanimity. Word 17. Extant. E-X-T-A-N-T. Existing. Still in existence. Not extinct. Not lost or destroyed. Extant comes from the Latin extare, to stand out, which comes in turn from ex, meaning out, and stare, to stand. Extant originally meant standing out, but this sense is now archaic, and in modern usage, extant means standing out through time, still in existence, not lost or destroyed. That law is no longer extant. It's not on the books. She was surprised and pleased to find several extant relatives in the village where she was born. The only extant writings by this early Greek philosopher may in fact be apocryphal. Although Shakespeare's plays have been performed and enjoyed for more than 400 years, nothing in his handwriting has survived, not one extant manuscript, or even a grocery list. Word 18. Meretricious. Meretricious. Tawdry, gaudy. Attractive in a flashy or cheap way. Falsely alluring. Deceptively enticing. By derivation, meretricious means pertaining to or like a meretrix, a prostitute. The unusual word, meretrix, spelled M-E-R-E-T-R-I-X, comes directly from Latin and has been in the language for nearly 500 years. However, it is so rare today that you won't find it listed in most dictionaries. Meretricious is still sometimes used in its literal sense, but most often the word refers to someone or something that has the gaudy appearance or tawdry qualities of a prostitute, especially in a false or deceptive way. Meretricious eyes are falsely alluring. A meretricious idea is deceptively attractive. A meretricious style is cheap, flashy, and insincere. The words meretricious and meritorious are often confused, but they are nearly opposite in meaning. Meritorious means worthy of merit, deserving praise. A meritorious action is a commendable action. Meretricious actions are falsely alluring, superficially attractive, flashy but insincere. Word 19. Xenophobia. Xenophobia. Fear or hatred of strangers or foreigners, or of anything strange or foreign. Their xenophobia and temerity led them headlong into war. Xenophobia entered English at the beginning of the 20th century. Its antonym, xenomania, an inordinate attachment to anything or anyone foreign, was coined 30 years earlier but is rarely used today. However, the word xenophilia, which came into the language in the 1950s, is still in good standing. Xenophilia means love for or attraction to foreigners, foreign cultures, or foreign customs. Xenophobia combines the prefix xeno, X-E-N-O, which means alien, strange, with the suffix phobia, which means fear. By derivation, xenophobia is fear of anyone or anything alien or strange. A xenophobe is a person who fears or hates strangers. An exclusive community filled with vigilant xenophobes who fear any unfamiliar face. The adjective xenophobic means affected with xenophobia. During times of national crisis, people have a tendency to become hostile and xenophobic. Many educated speakers, and for some reason especially the overeducated ones, pronounce xenophobia, xenophobe, and xenophobic with a long E. Xenophobia, xenophobe, and xenophobic. These pronunciations were not recognized by dictionaries until the 1980s, and although all current dictionaries now list them, not one lists them first. So take my advice and ignore those overeducated, innovative mispronouncers who are probably foreign spies. Pronounce these words with a short E. Say xenophobia, xenophobe, and xenophobic. Word 20. Quotidian. Q-U-O-T-I-D-I-A-N. Daily. Recurring every day or pertaining to every day, as a quotidian ritual, a quotidian record of events, a quotidian update or report, the quotidian call to order. Quotidian comes from the Latin quotidianus, daily, of every day. Because something that recurs daily soon becomes routine and ordinary, quotidian has also come to mean of an everyday nature, and therefore ordinary, commonplace, trivial. The first presentation was eloquent, but the second was dull and quotidian. As he walked, he heard the quotidian clamor of the marketplace, where money is forever changing hands. Quotidian and diurnal, word 49 of level 2, are synonyms. Synonyms.
Let's review the 10 key words you've just learned. Listen carefully to the following statements and decide whether each one is true or false. A puissant opponent is weak and inferior. False. Puissant means powerful, mighty, strong, forceful. If you are caught peculating, you could go to jail. True. Peculate means to steal, embezzle, specifically to steal or misuse money or property entrusted to one's care. Diffident people never hesitate to speak their minds. False. Diffident means shy, timid, bashful, lacking in self-confidence, hesitant to speak or act. A venal person can be influenced by money. True. Venal means corruptible, bribable, capable of being bribed or bought off, able to be obtained for a price. It's hard to persuade a parsimonious boss to give you a raise. Very true. Parsimonious means stingy, miserly, extremely tight with money. When the chips are down and you need a friend, you can be sure that a pusillanimous person will support you. Absolutely false. Pusillanimous means cowardly, lacking courage, timid, faint-hearted, irresolute. Dinosaurs are no longer extant. True. Extant means existing, still in existence, not extinct, not lost or destroyed. Something meretricious is praiseworthy or commendable. False. Meritorious means praiseworthy, commendable. Meretricious means tawdry, gaudy, attractive in a flashy or cheap way, falsely alluring, deceptively enticing. Xenophobia means dislike of one's neighbors. False. Xenophobia means fear or hatred of strangers or foreigners, or of anything strange or foreign. A quotidian duty is a duty performed every day. True. Quotidian means daily, recurring every day or pertaining to every day. Also of an everyday nature, and so ordinary, commonplace, trivial. That concludes the review for this section.
Now it's time for a respite from your quotidian task of vocabulary building. I hope you're not pusillanimous or xenophobic, because while you're refueling your brain with oxygen, we're going to take a look at a few foreign words and phrases. Here are 6 useful expressions that English has borrowed from French. Faux pas, bête noire, bon mot, élan, qui-vive, and coup de grâce. Do you recognize any of them? A faux pas is literally a false step. In English, it is used to mean an error or blunder, especially a social blunder, such as a tactless act or rude remark. Did you see his faux pas at the party last night? I think her criticism of the boss's idea was a faux pas. Faux pas is 2 words, spelled F-A-U-X and P-A-S. The plural is spelled the same, but pronounced faux pas. Bête noire means literally a black beast, and means someone or something one especially dislikes, fears, or wants to avoid. Math was my bête noire in high school. He is my bête noire in this organization. Bête noire is two words, spelled B-E-T-E and N-O-I-R-E. Bon mot means literally a good word. In English, it is used to mean a witty or clever remark. Bon mot is two words, spelled B-O-N and M-O-T. The plural, spelled B-O-N-S space M-O-T-S, is pronounced bon mots. Bon mots are witty or clever remarks. Élan means spirited self-assurance, verve, vivacity. Her work shows élan. We like the new manager's élan. He plays the piano with élan. There is an excellent Yiddish word for the negative side of élan. Chutzpah, spelled C-H-U-T-Z-P-A with an optional H at the end. Chutzpah means nerve as opposed to verve. Shameless self-assurance, audacity, impudence, gall. Someone who walks in, takes over, and tells everyone what to do has chutzpah. In The Joys of Yinglish, Leo Rostin relates the story of the defendant accused of murdering his parents, who throws himself upon the mercy of the court, crying, "I am an orphan." That's chutzpah. But back now to the French. The expression qui vive is the sentry's challenge, who goes there. In English, we use the expression on the qui vive to mean on the alert, ready and watchful, as she was on the qui vive for a better job. Qui vive is two words, spelled Q-U-I and V-I-V-E. Finally, we have the coup de grâce. The word coup, spelled C-O-U-P, means a blow, stroke, especially a brilliant stroke, a sudden successful move or action. A coup d'etat is a sudden successful overthrow of a government. Coup de grâce means literally a stroke of mercy. Coup de grâce refers to the finishing stroke, the death blow, that brings a merciful end to something or someone. After the failure of its last major product and a precipitous decline in the price of its stock, Faux Pas Corporation is almost bankrupt. All people are wondering now is how and when the coup de grâce will be delivered. Now let's take a brief look at 6 phrases from Latin that have made their way into the English vernacular. Ad infinitum, pro tempore, sine qua non, quid pro quo, caveat emptor, and pro bono publico. Do you recognize any of them? Ad infinitum and pro tempore are common ones. Ad infinitum means to infinity, endlessly, without limit. The meeting seemed to go on ad infinitum. Now there's hyperbole for you. Pro tempore means temporarily, for the time being. It is often abbreviated pro tem, as in an official title. John Doe, Chairman of the Board, pro tem. Sine qua non means literally without which not. It refers to something absolutely necessary or indispensable. Their cooperation was the sine qua non in the success of this project. His testimony was the sine qua non of the case for the defense. A quid pro quo is something given in return for something else, an equal exchange, a tit for tat. They said they wouldn't close the deal without a reasonable quid pro quo. The word caveat, often pronounced caveat or caveat, is used in a general sense to mean a warning, caution, admonition. A caveat emptor is a caveat warning to the emptor, the buyer. It means literally, let the buyer beware. In business, caveat emptor refers to the principle that the seller of a product cannot be held responsible for defects in quality or workmanship unless the product carries a warranty. Pro bono publico means for the public good. The phrase is often shortened to pro bono and used as an adjective. For example, pro bono attorneys are those who forego their customary professional fees to represent the indigent or seek redress for public grievances. Pro bono services are volunteer services, done for the good of the people and donated without charge. And now, fortiter in re, suaviter in modo, word 21. Exigency. E-X-I-G-E-N-C-Y. An urgency, pressing need, a situation demanding immediate attention or action. Exigency comes from the Latin exigere, to demand, force or drive out, and by derivation means something one is demanded, forced, or driven to do. In current usage, we speak of an unforeseen exigency, a financial exigency, front-page newspaper stories focusing on the exigencies of the moment. The corresponding adjective is exigent, urgent, pressing, demanding immediate attention or action. According to the Century Dictionary, an exigency is a situation of sudden urgency in which something needs to be done at once. An emergency is more pressing and therefore less common than an exigency. For example, every day the federal government deals with exigencies in foreign affairs, but only occasionally must it respond to a national emergency. A crisis is an emergency on which the outcome of everything depends, as a midlife crisis or an economic crisis. Word 22. Pulchritude. P-U-L-C-H-R-I-T-U-D-E. Beauty, loveliness, attractiveness. Pulchritude comes directly from the Latin word for beautiful. In his famous and influential dictionary published in 1755, Samuel Johnson defined pulchritude as the quality opposite to deformity. Pulchritude is a literary word that is usually applied to persons or things that have great physical beauty or external appeal. A woman of pulchritude, the pulchritude of nature. Occasionally, it is used of something whose beauty manifests itself in a more subtle way, as the pulchritude of the soul. What seems meretricious to you may possess pulchritude for another, for as the saying goes, pulchritude is in the eye of the beholder. The corresponding adjective is pulchritudinous, physically beautiful or lovely. Word 23. Denouement. D-E-N-O-U-E-M-E-N-T. The unraveling or resolution of a plot, as of a novel or a drama. The outcome or resolution of any complex situation. As you can tell from its pronunciation, denouement comes from French. The word means literally an untying, as of a knot. Since its introduction into English in the mid-1700s, denouement has been used to mean the untying or unraveling of a narrative or dramatic plot, the final sequence of events leading to a resolution of the story. The Century Dictionary offers this illustrative quotation from the Saturday Review. The end, the climax, the culmination, the surprise, the discovery, are all slightly different in meaning from that ingenious loosening of the knot of intrigue which the word denouement implies. In current usage, denouement has also come to apply to the outcome or resolution of any complex situation, as the denouement of a sensational trial, or the denouement of the negotiations. Word 24. Fugacious. F-U-G-A-C-I-O-U-S. Fleeting. Passing quickly away. Synonyms of fugacious include transient, word 31 of level 2, ephemeral, word 12 of level 4, transitory, word 4 of level 5, and evanescent. The words fugacious and fugitive come from the same Latin source, the verb fugere, to flee, fly away. As a noun, fugitive refers to a person who flees, especially from the law. As an adjective, fugitive may mean either fleeing, running away, or passing away quickly, not permanent, temporary. In this last sense, it is an exact synonym of the more difficult word fugacious, fleeting, passing swiftly, lasting but a short time. Word 25. Turbid. Turbid. Literally, muddy, cloudy, roiled, murky, as if from stirred-up sediment. Figuratively, muddled, obscure, confused, not lucid. Turbid is often used of liquids to mean muddy or clouded from having the sediment stirred up. A turbid river, turbid wine. It may also apply to air that is thick or dark with smoke or mist. Figuratively, turbid means muddled, disturbed, confused in thought or feeling. In this figurative sense, turbid sometimes is confused with the words turgid, spelled Turgid, and tumid, spelled Tumid. Both turgid and tumid mean swollen, inflated, and both may be used literally or figuratively. However, tumid, perhaps because of its relation to the word tumor, usually is used literally to mean swollen or distended. Turgid usually is used figuratively of language or style that is inflated, pompous, pretentious, bombastic. Turbid never suggests swelling or inflation, but rather muddiness, cloudiness, disturbance, or confusion, as in the 19th century poet Matthew Arnold's line, "The turbid ebb and flow of human misery." Word 26. Indefeasible. Indefeasible. Not capable of being undone, taken away, annulled, or rendered void. The words defeasance, defeasible, and indefeasible come down to us through Anglo-French and Middle English. They were used in Old English law and are chiefly legal terms today. Defeasance, spelled Defeasance, is the oldest of the three. Defeasance means either the annulment or voiding of a deed or contract, or a clause within a deed or contract that provides a means for annulling it or rendering it void. Defeasible means capable of being invalidated, undone, or rendered void. Our keyword, indefeasible, which employs the privative prefix in, meaning not, means not defeasible, not capable of being undone, annulled, or rendered void. The words inalienable and indefeasible are close in meaning and are often used interchangeably. According to the second edition of Webster's New International Dictionary, that is indefeasible which one cannot be deprived of without one's consent. That is inalienable which one cannot give away or dispose of even if one wishes. For example, the U.S. Constitution guarantees all citizens certain inalienable rights, such as personal liberty, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and so on. When you pay off a mortgage on a house and own it outright, you have an indefeasible title to the house, although you may give up or transfer that title by selling your home or putting the deed in someone else's name. Inalienable means not able to be given away or transferred. Indefeasible means not able to be taken away, undone, or made void. Word 27. Disingenuous. Disingenuous. Insincere, crafty, sly, not straightforward or frank. Synonyms of disingenuous include wily, subtle, slippery, deceptive, hypocritical, fraudulent, and mendacious. The direct antonym is ingenuous, sincere, open, straightforward, without artifice or guile. Other antonyms include truthful, frank, candid, unself-conscious, unaffected, and guileless. The corresponding noun is disingenuousness. Disingenuous combines the prefix dis, meaning not, with the Latin ingenuus, which means freeborn, of free birth. Hence, noble, honorable, upright. From the Latin ingenuus, by way of French, English has also acquired the word ingénue, spelled ingenue, which the Century Dictionary defines as a woman or girl who displays innocent candor or simplicity. Specifically, such a character represented on the stage, or the actress who plays it. An ingénue is an ingenuous woman. An ingenuous person is a woman, man, or child that is free from restraint or reserve, and therefore innocent, straightforward, and sincere. A disingenuous person is not sincere or straightforward. Disingenuous words are crafty, subtle, or deceptive. Word 28. Scurrilous. Scurrilous. Foul-mouthed, obscene, using or expressed in language that is coarse, vulgar, and abusive. Synonyms of scurrilous include shameless, indelicate, lewd, smutty, ribald, word 42 of level 7, irreverent, insolent, disparaging, derisive, and contumelious. Antonyms of scurrilous include polite, refined, tasteful, cultured, sophisticated, cultivated, decorous, and urbane. The adjective scurrilous comes from the Latin scurrilis, mocking, jesting, or jeering like a buffoon. Scurrilis comes in turn from scurra, a jester, comedian, buffoon, especially one employed to entertain a rich person. By derivation, scurrilous means talking like a buffoon. And what precisely is a buffoon, you ask? Any dictionary will tell you that a buffoon is a person who amuses or attempts to amuse others by clowning around and cracking jokes. However, the savvy lexicographers or dictionary editors at Random House include a second definition: a person given to coarse or offensive joking. That sort of buffoon is the one implied by the word scurrilous, which means, as the second edition of Webster's New International Dictionary puts it, using or given to using the language of low buffoonery, containing low indecency or abuse. Scurrilous language is coarse, vulgar, and abusive. A scurrilous rogue is a foul-mouthed joker who spouts insolent obscenities. There are two corresponding nouns, scurrility and scurrilousness. Both may refer to coarse, vulgar, and abusive language, or to an expression of foul-mouthed verbal abuse. Word 29. Recrudescence. Recrudescence. A revival, renewal, fresh outbreak after a period of inactivity or quiescence. Recrudescence comes from the Latin recrudescere, to become raw again, break out again, open afresh. In medicine, recrudescence is used of a wound or sore that partially heals and then reopens, or of a fever that abates and then breaks out again. Does recrudescence strike you as a word you'd never use because you can't imagine how you'd apply it? Well, let me give you a few suggestions. How about sports for the weekend warrior? Whenever Ken played basketball or softball without warming up properly, he suffered from a recrudescence of lower back pain. Now let's try economics. Analysts disagree on whether the recrudescence of inflation will affect the stock market. Are you in the retail business? Try this. Booksellers are delighted with the recrudescence of interest in high-priced coffee table volumes, which accounted for a 20% increase in sales this holiday season. Now let's take a stab at the fine arts. Some critics are disturbed by the recrudescence of classical themes in contemporary literature and art, though others applaud it. And let's not forget fashion. Madonna may have revolutionized our concept of fashion by turning underwear into outerwear, but it is unlikely that she or anyone else will effect a recrudescence of that most alluring of all exterior garments, the miniskirt. And finally, we have romance. Seeing John again after all these years, Sally felt a recrudescence of the love for him that she had suppressed since high school. You see, recrudescence isn't such an obscure, useless word after all, now is it? The corresponding verb is recrudesce, to break out again, show renewed activity after an inactive period. The corresponding adjective is recrudescent, breaking out afresh, as a recrudescent epidemic or a recrudescent revolt. Word 30. Defenestrate. D-E-F-E-N-E-S-T-R-A-T-E. To throw something or someone out of a window. I include this humorous but useful word in the event that you may be experiencing a recrudescent urge to give up building your vocabulary and defenestrate verbal advantage from a swiftly moving vehicle. The verb to defenestrate combines the prefix de, meaning out, with the Latin fenestra, a window. The corresponding noun, defenestration, means the act of throwing something or someone out of a window.
Let's review the 10 key words you've just learned. This time, I'm going to give you 2 words, and you decide if they are synonyms or antonyms. Are you ready? Here we go. Exigency and urgency are synonyms. An exigency is an urgency, pressing need, a situation demanding immediate attention or action. Ugliness and pulchritude are antonyms. Pulchritude means beauty, loveliness, attractiveness. Development and denouement are antonyms. Denouement means the unraveling or resolution of a plot, as of a novel or a drama, the outcome or resolution of any complex situation. Fugacious and fleeting are synonyms. Fugacious means fleeting, passing quickly away. Turbid and clear are antonyms. Literally, turbid means muddy, clouded, roiled, murky, as if from stirred-up sediment. Figuratively, turbid means muddled, obscure, confused, not lucid. Indefeasible and voidable are antonyms. Indefeasible means not capable of being undone, taken away, annulled, or rendered void. Candid and disingenuous are antonyms. Disingenuous means insincere, crafty, sly, not straightforward or frank. Scurrilous and polite are antonyms. Scurrilous means foul-mouthed, obscene, using or expressed in language that is coarse, vulgar, and abusive. Recrudescence and revival are synonyms. A recrudescence is a revival, renewal, fresh outbreak after a period of inactivity or quiescence. Defenestrate and defenestrate are, well, the same word, obviously. There is no single word that can serve as a synonym or antonym of defenestrate, which means to throw something or someone out of a window. That concludes the review for this section. If you answered 8 or more of the questions wrong, you may either voluntarily defenestrate yourself or listen to the keyword discussions again. If you answered at least 8 of the questions correctly, consider yourself verbally advantaged enough to move ahead in the program.
Boy, that pulchritudinous woman who does those review quizzes may have a mellifluous voice, but she's getting pretty cheeky, isn't she? I guess that's what happens when you hang around scurrilous vocabulary builders like me. Oh well,